newsletter is going to be great because we'll get to share it out with people.
What are you guys doing?
We're working on feed drops.
Can I record?
If we're going to do that, let's do it right. Hey, Linz. So, Linz, it's been a couple of weeks.
It has been a couple of weeks.
Have you,
Yes, I have.
So we've gotten 2 issues of the Feed Drops newsletter out.
Yeah. It's exciting to see this new iteration of our project come together and to see some podcast recommendations from people that aren't just the two of us.
Right. And as a matter of fact, there's 2 podcasts I started listening to from our own newsletter that I probably would have never found. One is on screenwriting. I'm not a screenwriter. I don't want to be a screenwriter, but I'd like to understand screenwriting a little better.
Yeah.
And the other one is a podcast about The Last of Us, HBO's TV show.
That's a great show.
It made me want to watch the show. So I went back and binged it.
Yeah. And how'd you feel?
Like I needed a shower.
I know. It's intense.
It was a little slow. It was a little weird. But listening to this podcast went, oh, that's why the zombies behave differently. Oh, that's why this. That's why.
Yeah.
And when I heard about the creativity that went into it to make it different than other shows, I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah. And there's a whole documentary, like a 30-minute doc on HBO that is just the making of.
Yeah.
And it is fascinating the effort to which they combined. They really did as many practical effects as they could, and then they added the CGI on top. But they were all commingled, and it was really cool. And I hate zombie things, like zombie stuff. No interest in my life, but this one felt like it was it wasn't just blood-sucking, brain-sucking zombies. It was like, oh, here's a whole world where this thing has happened.
There's a metamorphosis of this fungi or algae or whatever the hell from ants to humans.
Yeah. And so it's not just about these mindless creatures.
Right.
It's actually how those creatures are connected to each other through this mind link kind of situation. So anyway, it's a fascinating show. And so what was the name of the podcast? Do you remember? The one that...
HBO's The Last of Us.
So it's just their official podcast.
It's their official.
I've been... I should check that out.
I want to say they were both from our first newsletter. The second newsletter had an interesting show, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. Good thing it's in a newsletter. I can go back and check it out.
Well, and that's what this is for. We're here to kind of remind you about this newsletter we're doing and highlight some things that are related to the podcasts in the newsletter and other podcasts in the industry. And so this is your reminder to go check out our newsletter on Substack. You can get to it through feeddrops.com. And I believe also feeddrops.substack.com.
Yep.
And, of course, follow us on all our social medias. But, yeah, great to hang out with you. Great to check in here. And we'll see you again in another few weeks or so.
And before I say bye, if you have a podcast you'd like to get in front of us, feeddrops.com, submit your show. We'll get it out to a staff member and get some ears on it.
Yeah. And everyone in the podcast world would love more people checking their shows out. So perfect for anybody who's a podcaster and great for all the listeners out there who just want to be exposed to more shows. Decision fatigue is real. Figuring out what to listen to and having decided before you need to listen, it's all a big mess. But, getting a newsletter that you can kind of check out regularly might keep the important stuff top of mind.
We'll see you when we see you.
When we see you. That's it. Never, not when we don't see you, only when we see you.